And welcome to another episode of the Freethinkers Podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us, country music legend Dale Watson. Dale is a singer, songwriter, and guitarist who's been at the forefront of the Ameripolitan country music movement for the last 3 decades. He's released countless albums, won numerous awards, and founded the Ameripolitan Awards to promote independent country artists. Dale, how are you doing? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, we want to start today. Like I said, we're excited to have you here. We want to talk about your story, your music, and the future of Ameripolitan. So let's dive right in with starting to tell us about your background, how you got into music.
Well, I kind of was born into it. My dad's a singer and songwriter, and my brothers had a band, and I always knew I would get into music, because it came pretty easy to me. But the chance came whenever my brother's band, their lead singer quit, so they needed a lead singer. So I started with them. So it kind of just fell into it naturally. But it was always around the family and around us.
And how'd you progress as far as, filling in for the band to, moving your way up within the industry?
Just that's the old adage. Just keep trying, keep persevering. That's what you only go as far as your strive will take you. And if you quit trying, you're not going to keep moving. So I just kept at it until I got a recording contract in California on Curb Records, and I didn't do much at all. It was just a 2 single deal, and but then just kept playing and got another record contract with another company. It did a lot better. Had number 1 albums in England and Europe and stuff like that.
Now, and growing up, like who were your influences? Your main musical influences?
Oh man!
That you,
well, my dad was
emulate?
number one. My dad was my first influence. And he's a really good writer, a good singer, and he played guitar. But after him, it had to be everybody that my dad listened to, because I wasn't like I was a rebellious teenager, but not in that regard. I liked what my dad listened to. I liked the Merle Haggard and Hank Williams. Matter of fact, his nickname was Hank. In the Marines. That's what my mom called him. And so all that stuff that he listened to is what I enjoyed. Lefty Frizzell, Bob Wills, George Jones, Merle Haggard. It sounds kind of trite to say it now. But,
yeah, it's funny you mentioned George Jones. 10 minutes from here is George and Tammy's lived here. And this is where he got caught riding his lawnmower to the bar in Lakeland.
That's amazing, that these houses still are out there. These people, they just sold Patsy Cline's house in Nashville, and I think it now is Airbnb.
Yeah. I think their house was actually for sale. It's rumored to be haunted, but I don't know if anybody's pulled the trigger. But it's a beautiful house, big horse stables and everything like that out there too.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if it's haunted.
Yeah. and you did a duo with his daughter, Georgette, or their daughter, Georgette, Cigarettes and You. And that was an amazing song. She has an incredible voice, just absolutely incredible voice.
She got the talent, from her folks, she definitely did. Yeah. So
talk about the split. Cause when you were growing up and the artist that you mentioned, and then, you've been a critic of kind of the direction that Nashville, I don't want to say is taking, because they're off the reservation, but when they took it,
they're off.
You wrote Nashville Rash, Country My Ass, that kind of thing. So talk about a little bit of that. You were in Nashville. I think you were a songwriter there. I think there's a story that I've heard about you trying to write a song. So talk about the industry, where it took the split, and kind of your passion to keep the roots strong.
Well, I traced it back. It's really right about 1975 is when it started going off the rails, and or yeah, right around there. And of course, when Charlie Rich burned the at the famous award show where he burned the John Denver's country male vocalist of the year, it's kind of made a statement, and it also was right. Once the roots started slipping away from the importance of the music, and then it just got worse and worse, and I always say that country music, the integrity of it should always be you can let it can grow as much as it wants, but the problem is once it starts going into the other genre, then it stops. It goes into that genre. As much as I'm not a fan of Taylor Swift at all, in any degree, but I appreciate her saying at some point, she goes, "I'm not country music, so I'm going into pop music."
Right.
She did say that. I don't know whether she did it or not, but that's what she said. But and that's what you got to do. I mean, if you're why pretend to be something you're not? That's what always surprises me. And whenever these artists nowadays, like the Florida Georgia Line and it's an all boy band, I can't remember, but they say their influences are Merle Haggard and George Jones, but they sound more like Backstreet Boys, right?
I was going to say the exact same thing. We always say that literally today's country music. I don't even listen to the radio. I can't tell you the last time I listened to it, but when you go to certain places it's playing and you hear it, and it's like, that's New Kids on the Block or Backstreet Boys with an accent. That's the only, right. Literally the only difference of what it is.
That is right. That's correct. Yeah. With a fiddle. As matter of fact, Tom Petty said it best. He said, today's country music is like bad rock and roll with a fiddle.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
I would definitely agree with that. And I remember sitting on the back porch with my grandparents and listening to, the Country Gold Saturday Night with all the, the legends, Johnny Cash and Merle and Waylon. And that's what I grew up listening to. And then it kind of, it took that, crazy turn. And when I first was introduced to you, I like all kinds of music, but I was watching Austin City Limits. I love to discover the artists there, and you were on there. Sure. And you sang the song "My Baby Makes Me Gravy," and I thought, this is the greatest song I've ever heard. And then after that, you were coming to Macon, so we went up there and saw you. We met and we hit it off, and we've become buddies ever since then. I think that was back in, I think it was 2014.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, talk about what it took to get to the place to play and like Austin City Limits and what that took to make that happen.
Well, it took a lot of years just playing the honky tonks, but in Austin, I was lucky. When I did move to Austin, it afforded me the ability to do my own thing and have house gigs. The same gig every week, and play places like Broken Spoke. And you're a little bit more when you do stuff in Austin, like a house gig every week. You got a pretty the audience is pretty hip, and they also know what to expect of what to expect of. They know not going to go there and hear pop music. You're not going to hear pop country in Austin, Texas. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. It just doesn't exist. And so I was very much home there, and it helped me to reach the next level. I've already had my record gig, a record contract. I was already touring, but it really helped when Austin City Limits is right there. South by Southwest is right there. So that being in that city did help me have a career. To go to the next level of getting on Austin City Limits and David Letterman and Jimmy Kimmel. So
Yeah, and I think
Location
the
does
music
matter.
is it's so different because it's participatory rather than just sitting back and observing it. I mean, when you go to any of these, the honky tonk, Western swing, rockabilly, outlaw, people can't sit still. I mean, they're dancing. It's just, they're
Right.
involved in the music rather than just sitting back in chairs and watching. I love that.
Oh yeah. It's especially. I mean, Texas is a dance state. They have dance floors. When they build a honky tonk, you got to have a dance floor.
That's exactly right. So, any interesting stories when you were in Nashville for a little bit, your brief stint?
Yeah. It's where I learned that I wasn't cut out for that writing type of style because I was writing for Gary Moore's music, and Gary was a nice guy, very very wonderful guy, and I met a lot of great people. But they had this thing called the pitch sheet. They still got it, I'm sure. It goes out every week, and what it does is it tells you who is looking for material and what kind of material. And so one of the things that happened, that really did happen, I went in one Monday and they said, I was confronted by two other guys in the room, right, that I didn't know. Oh, you got an appointment. Here's this guy and this guy. And I've never met them before. They're writers from somewhere else. And here's your pitch sheet. And they already had it. So we went in the room, and they seen that, what's her name? Winona Judd. She was doing, I guess, a solo album at that point. Winona Judd was looking for an emotionally upbeat power ballad. And it says Allah, and then they tell you what kind of power ballad. Emotionally upbeat power ballad, a la Melissa Etheridge and Bonnie Raitt. That's really what it said. And then one of the guys took that and said, "Hey, why don't we write about how about a 16-year-old girl gets pregnant?" And then I go, "Wait, guys, really? We're going to write? You really want to write about a 16-year-old girl who gets pregnant?" And I don't even know what this means. I'm not a fan of Bonnie Raitt or Melissa Etheridge. I don't know. I mean, I like Bonnie Raitt, but I don't have a Bonnie Raitt album. I respect her. She's a great singer and guitar player. But I don't know one song about Melissa Etheridge. And I said, and I definitely don't know anything about being a 16-year-old pregnant girl. So I'm out. Y'all write it. I walked out. That was the last writing session I had, because I don't enjoy that type of writing where one, you're in a room with people you don't know, and because writing is a very intimate thing, I can't. It just, to me, it was so much of a business there that it made it kind of feel dirty, really.
Yeah, I mean, is there a structure to just churning that kind of thing out in Nashville?
Oh yeah, they do it all the time. But me and Chris Walwright used to write together. Got arrested. Every now and then, I think who else I co-write with? I wrote with Randy Foster. But when you write with friends, it's a lot different. Mm-hmm. It's just very. It's like I said, it's something you're sharing with somebody, so it's better that you know them. And for me, but it doesn't matter. They'll do it with strangers all the time, and they probably got hits. They probably got the hits.
So from that point, you left there and kind of went on your own. Is that where you were independent, or were you independent before then?
No, I was independent before then. But Gary didn't mind that, and I wasn't making a lot of money, but I had that's when my first child was coming along, and she was getting, so I needed to be stable, So Gary helped me out in that regard. Gave me a steady paycheck writing for the publishing house. And when I left, though, which is very unusual, they gave me all my songs back that I wrote at that time because they were too country. They couldn't use them because they were way too country.
That's insane. That really is. Yeah. So moving to the future, let's talk about Ameripolitan, because I want to cover that, because that's your passion. I know it is. And so in 2014, you created Ameripolitan. So what was the catalyst to create that?
Well, oddly enough, it was just one little incident that happened. I was in Europe at the time, and apparently, what was his name? There was some interview done with Blake Shelton, and in the interview, they said that because his stuff he was doing, I guess it had a lot of rap music in it, rap or whatever you call that, and it was getting a little bit of backlash from country radio, but not much. And so they said, "Are you concerned that some people think that you're crossing out of country music? You're not doing country music?" He says, "Oh, them old farts." He says, "They're a bunch of old farts. I don't care what they say. They're just a bunch of jackasses." So I said, "It's nobody wants to listen to their granddad's music." And so when he said that, Ray Price actually made a comment on his Facebook page and said, he's been doing music at that point 65 years, I think, or something like that. He said he's always tried to advance country music as far as getting people to like it and listen to it. He says, "You don't think there's a hat made big enough to fit that guy's head." So I thought to myself, when it offended Ray Price, that offends me, because he is my dad's music and my music, and so I wrote the song "I'd rather be an old fart than a new country turd," and I said, you know what, I'm going to do an award show, and I'm just for people that keep the roots going, and let them know that they do matter. They're not, that's not that guy's opinion, that they're a bunch of jackasses and old farts. And what's funny is they're all of them are young. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get a hold of young people and tell them, please keep doing this music. Please keep doing this kind of thing. And it has. It's been going 10 years now. Well, you were involved, I think, year one, wasn't you?
Not the first year. It's helped. Second year.
Second year? Okay. Well, it's really, I think, helped encourage young people to dig into the roots and expound from there. Because the whole thing about Ameripolitan, I always tell, the definition of Ameripolitan music is original music with prominent roots influence. And I also steal a quote from John Lennon, that originality comes in your inability to imitate your influences. And that's a great quote, because like he said, when John Lennon, the band they had first came out, they wanted to sound just like Carl Perkins and Buddy Holly, and
wow.
But your inability to sound like your heroes is your originality, and that's what I tell the young folks coming up that want to get into whether it's honky tonk, rockabilly, outlaw, or western swing. I said, yeah, great, take that and run with it. Because nobody's going to be able to be just like Bob Wills. Nobody's going to be able to just like Waylon. Nobody, but it's nice they try.
Right.
It's nice their writing takes them to a new place. This year was our probably best year. So much great talent, and they're past Ameripolitan winners went on to really knock it out of the park. Charlie Crockett and Sierra Farrell, Margot Price, So we're doing something with it. At least it's making a difference.
Well, describe for people that don't know what Ameripolitan is as far as the award show, the awards week, and kind of what's involved.
That's true.
And where they come from. They come from all over the world to be, to celebrate and to be celebrated.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a weekender. It starts on usually starts on a Friday, and then we have concerts on Saturday and Sundays, and then the award show on a Monday. But so it's a 4-day thing. But people do come from all over the world. We have winners from England, winners from Sweden, the Countryside of Harmonica Sam is a great band from Sweden that won. It's a worldwide thing, and they come here and they realize they meet kindred spirits that feel the same way they do, and do the same music, and it makes you stronger as an artist to be able to have that. So it's not just one day. It's not just an award show either. Mm-hmm. It's it culminates in the award show, but by the time you get through the whole award show, everybody already knows everybody, and everybody's pulling for each other. It's not like a competition, and even it is 100% fan driven. I mean, it does count. It's kind of like a popularity contest a little bit, but it is everybody's pulling for each other to win, and nobody looks at each other like they don't want to help them. Everybody wants to help each other. So that community of Ameripolitan is what I think has endured and spread and made everybody want to be a part of it, because it's roots artists pulling for roots artists, and a whole weekend. It's just a fun weekend. It's not like a regular weekender festival, because this one really means something to all involved. You're meeting promoters, because it's not just artists. Even though most of the crowd coming is artists, but it's the fans of the artist and it's promoters, because we give away an award for Venue of the Year, Festival of the Year, and a DJ of the Year. So all these people it's kind of like a network that you're meeting that will help your career move forward.
Every year I discover new talent. I love to go out there, because I'll take some videos and send it to some friends, and like, where do you even look to find these people if it wasn't a show like this? And they start listening to him. Absolutely, just their jaw drops. They're like, why isn't this on the radio? Why are we listening to this nonsense out there? And that's one of the things too, is like to create a discovery tool for these artists that, people can go to. What's the best way for people to discover that? Besides, like, if they're not able to come out to Memphis for that, what's the greatest way to discover the new talent and the upcoming artists and the existing Ameripolitan artists?
Well, that's what we're actually working on, an Ameripolitan chart, and we also wanted, we are in talks with Sirius XM about doing a channel, if not a channel, a show on one of their channels, and because I think it has grown to that level now, mm-hmm. And so that's what we're hoping to do, and to do a chart, you have to have stations and DJs that are playing these Ameripolitan artists, and then say which one is getting the best response. So we wanted to move to that point where it's really kind of evolved to the original point. We went so far away from roots music, country music, that now we're actually going back to terrestrial radio, and the good thing is we got internet radio too. Because when we do DJ of the Year, we're not just including the regular terrestrial radio that you hear, AM, FM. We're talking about podcast and internet radio. There's a lot of internet radio people are able to go to now. So and we got our Spotify channel, Ameripolitan Spotify. So there's that too. which is auto generated a little bit. But we're reaching out. But that's how you have to do it nowadays. Is maybe go to Spotify. Sorry.
How is technology, and you've seen the curve where you have probably a record label or something, and that's your only way to get out and promote other than self-promotion. But now you're able to do websites. Like I said, you're able to just do it on demand at any point. How does that help these smaller independent artists? And how does that help you in your career too, rather than having to go through a gatekeeper or a gateway?
I mean, I thought you were just talking in regard to Ameripolitan only, but no, as an artist, I mean, that's a huge. Again, it's a double-edged sword, because now we can't really sell our music like we used to,
Yeah.
because now they just go on the internet and they just download it. They just take it. They take it off of somebody went to the concert and put it on YouTube, and now it's gone. So they don't need to buy it. So selling music is harder in the way that make money on it, but the exposure is way easier than it used to be. It's thanks to the internet and Instagram, Facebook, you're able to tell people immediately where you're going to be that night, or where you're going to be on a tour. So it's helped for live shows, definitely. For getting the music out, I don't know if it's helped to get the music out, but it's not helped in the regard of getting paid for it. I made a lot more money back in the day before the internet, on music, because people had to actually buy a physical copy, but now they don't.
Speaking of technology and venues, you you bought a couple years ago Hernandos Hideaway there in Memphis.
Right.
As it was kind of a rundown relic, and you fixed that up. Talk about a little bit of that and what you're trying to do, what your goal is with that. Talk about who's played in there. I mean, the history of that place is incredible.
Yeah, Hernandos, it was when I got it, it had turned into a rehab center, and it was pretty much falling apart. But the history of Hernandos was, back in the 40s, I guess it was maybe even earlier than that. But it's kind of hard to track it because they didn't really have Memphis have all the records burn up in a fire. So, and that's all they had. So they don't know when it first became a juke joint. But the building been there since 1891 as a feed store. So they think if it happened right somewhere around right after Prohibition, it became it was already a speakeasy happening. Then it turned into a bar after Prohibition. But as it went along, it became a proper bar, and everybody from Elvis played there, 1954. He didn't do it with his band. He played there. A lot of folks don't know that the Burnett brothers, who was the rockabilly trio, they would play there all the time. They had a house gig there, and Elvis and the Burnett brothers actually had a band together. Elvis was in their band for just a minute, and one of the brothers said, "Nah, he's too pretty. The girls are liking him more. We need to get him out of here." They were friends though. They were still friends, but they just said, we do our thing, you do your thing. Then he had it. So he came and sat in with them at Hernandos, and he was wearing I think a green shirt and pink pants, and he had his hair, long hair, and so he was singing some hit of the day, but the people didn't like him. They actually threw bottles at him, just because of the way he looked, really. And then he came back later, a few months later, after That's All Right Mama started hitting, and of course they loved him, because he's on the radio now. They love him now. So that's got that history. Johnny Cash, Charlie Rich played there regularly, and Duck Dunn from he was the band leader there with Booker T and the MGs. So it's got all kind of everything from blues. B.B. King played there. Well, Jerry Lee Lewis called it his office. He played there so often. He said, "I'm going to the office." Wow. So it's got a lot of history of the roots, and so I'm glad we got it just in time where it wasn't too late to rehabilitate it and make it honky tonk again.
Yeah, and so you have that's part of the Ameripolitan Weekend, to where you have some concerts that are going back to back over at the guest house at Graceland, then over at Hernandos. So it's just an explosion of Ameripolitan music throughout that week, and the discovery is just absolutely phenomenal out there. And it's a great place to hear artists you haven't heard, to get introduced to people you haven't seen, and it's just, like I said,
yeah, it is. It's become a part of Ameripolitan as much as the award show. Come here, man. Celine's over here. Come here. This is the other half. This is actually Miss Ameripolitan right here.
Miss Celine, how are you? Good to see you.
Good. How are you?
Doing great.
You too.
Doing great.
What are you guys talking about? Ameripolitan?
Ameripolitan. Yeah.
Ameripolitan.
Nice.
And everything, actually. I was telling about the all the artists that used to play at Hernandos.
Yeah.
And is that too? There you
That's
go.
Better.
That's better. Leave it to her.
Yes. So with that, I think it's pretty neat that you preserved Hernandos, and then at your house downstairs, you pretty much preserved Sun Records.
Oh yeah. Well, Sun Records, Sun Studios is alive
Sun
and
Studios.
well. It's even got the birthplace of rock and roll. It's even got the original place in it. It's got a little coffee shop built by it. So it's alive and well. But yeah, right here I'm in. This is actually the jungle room behind me of our Airbnb, and then downstairs is the recording studio.
And he's got the board from Sun. He's got all the vintage, tubes, equipment, speakers.
Yeah, microphones. So it's I call it Watt Sun Studios.
Watt Sun, yeah. Now, do you record your albums down there?
Yeah, he did his
like your latest ones.
I did the Memphians down there, and Reverend Horton Heat did 4 songs off their new album down there, and I've got a lot of stuff down there. That I did the Jukebox Fury vocals. I did all them down there.
We did a lot of Ameripolitan artists down there during 2020's Ameripolitan.
Yeah.
And we actually did a lot of music videos down there. This in 2023 that came out, and they're really cool.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I remember when I was down there, you showed me around. It was kind of neat how you kind of mixed the analog with the digital and just kind of combined technology a little bit, but you're still preserving, the original equipment and the original sound. That was pretty brilliant.
Well, I think that's the best. It represents Ameripolitan that way. You got the old stuff, which is important to have that sound and that old stuff, but it's also important to add something new, and that's so the digital comes in.
Absolutely. Now, who are some of now that Celine's with us? Who are some of the standout and upcoming Ameripolitan artists that we need to let people know to discover? Because a lot of people that watch this, this is a great way for them to be discovered.
Oh man! Well, one of my favorites was the Televisionaires from Rochester, New York.
Yep.
They brought in Les Green, who is he actually did he did the vocals for Little Richard on the Elvis movie, and he is just a star, like a Star is Born.
He's definitely a star too. Les Green.
I mean, the Itchy Bonds.
Itchy Bonds. That's who I was trying to think of from Tokyo.
They're from Toronto.
They're from Toronto?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're from Toronto, but they're actually Japanese, and they're just killer, amazing instrumentalists.
Yeah, I was going to say they're actually all from
rockabilly.
Japan, though. The guys from Japan.
Yeah.
So, but I guess they live in Toronto, Canada. But Itchy Bonds.
Wild Earp, he won for Western Swing Male. He out of Chicago. He blew the roof off at his gig.
He's fantastic.
At his showcase. I mean, everyone. It was
the women really
they took
blew me
over.
away this year because, like I said, Sierra Farrell, Rachel Brooks,
Summer Dean,
Brennan
Lee,
Brennan
Melissa
Lee.
Carper. I mean, Katie
Melissa
Shore.
Carper, Just
all of them,
it all goes on.
Monster talent.
It was a fun,
when those three joined together with their little their trio, incredible.
Yeah,
and that was because one of the planned acts couldn't make it, so he needed someone to be in there, and she thought,
I just wanted to be able to put as many of these nominees together because that's what Ameripolitan is all about. It's not a competition. It's not anything. It's everybody coming together to support each other. And, that's what always happens is they all end up performing together. So I thought those three women are my favorites. And I thought, let me see if I could get them on a showcase together. And it was Saturday afternoon and I was so busy running around and I just said, no, I'm stopping. I'm sitting down and I'm going to watch this set because I just knew it was going to be so magical.
Yeah, it was great.
And I just sat right in the front.
Incredible. Yeah. So what's the best way for people to support artists like that? Like you said, it's not about buying the music anymore because it's out there for everybody. So what's the best way to help these people move up and get better and be able to do this longer?
Yeah. I mean, buy their merch, go to their shows, get tickets to their shows, support, share on social media, that's really important. That's what we do with the Ameripolitan, with all of our social media. We try to just keep sharing all of their stuff as much as possible.
Their new record releases and where they're going to be at on the tour and stuff like that. We try to share it on our social media from theirs.
And we also connect them with like the venue owners and the festival, the festival nominees that were part of Ameripolitan, and then they connect it from all there too. It's like a big, everybody's sharing. Like out in California, they just had a festival.
I know we talked about this, but this would be a great discovery tool too. Just, to have you guys do a podcast about Ameripolitan and interview the artists and do 30-minute interviews, let them tell their story, let them share how you can connect with them, find their tour schedule, and just really just promote them because there's so many incredible artists out there, truly. That I love that weekend, and I always come away with 4, 5, 6 people I don't think I've ever heard before, or maybe just a little bit. But now it's like, oh my gosh, I got to share these with everybody else.
Yep, I know. That's one thing that I wanted to do through Hernandos because that's where I've discovered a lot of people was like that's how I discovered Wild Earp. He played at Hernandos. And my idea was to do these little mini interviews and collaborations through Hernando's social media and through Dale's social media, and having Dale like do a little one-on-one interview or just like before their show and like get clips of them and connect all the dots.
Yeah, it's because the community is huge. I mean, it's worldwide, and it's great that. They help each other in a way that they tell you about venues. Oh, you come to this town, you want to play this place. Oh, this guy here is a guy that promotes this festival, or things like that. And so that's really important in an artist to keep going, be able to do that.
Even the radio stations, especially like all of the DJs, that we connected them with the artists so that they could interview and they can, spread the word that way as well.
So what's your tour look like? What are you doing right now?
Non-stop tour. This man, he don't stop.
Yeah. We're going to Europe.
He's going to Norway, Belgium.
We're about to play Viva Las Vegas.
We're about to fly out to Vegas to play this the biggest rockabilly fest in the world. And he's doing the car show that he's headlining the car show, which is like 10,000 people, something like that.
Wow.
So it's always something moving. Got to keep moving.
How many days a year do you tour?
We're doing in September 16, 17, we started a very first annual Boogie Woogie festival in Marshall, Texas, where we stay most of the time. It's where our house is.
It's actually the birthplace of Boogie Woogie music. And so Dale is starting it's going to start small because we have a lot on our plate as it is, but it's going to be a very cool festival with a lot of the Ameripolitan artists like Scott Byram, Linda Gale Lewis, Jason D. Williams, who else?
Katie Shore. Katie Shore,
And then it's going to fall under the Ameripolitan umbrella as well, because it's a roots, like, a roots music.
Yeah, I think it will probably do it as Ameripolitan Presents, but it's going to be annual because it's the birthplace of the Boogie Woogie. So again, doing that thing, it's kind of like Johnny Appleseed. We're kind of trying to plant these seeds of roots music everywhere we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you got any new albums coming out? Are you working on any?
Yeah, I just did an acoustic album that was produced by David Ferguson, and it's called Starvation Box. It's inspired by Leadbelly's career. Leadbelly's dad called his guitar a starvation box. I thought it was just amazing to me, and his whole story. So I did she bought me this 12-string like he played, Stella, 1957, just a beautiful guitar, and it inspired me to write songs, and so I started doing tours, and so it's come off pretty well. That's the next album that's coming out on Cleopatra Records.
And you're doing also a solo tour with Junior Brown and Rev.
Yeah.
In January?
No, it's going to happen. That's in March. Next March. It'll be Junior Brown and Reverend Horton Heat. But
that's all solo too, so it's going to be them solo, which should be different and really unique.
Yeah, just me opening solo. But it's then you got a regular album coming out, which I don't know even the name of that yet. We've been working on that, and I got to get in the studio below us and start recording some stuff there, because I'm always writing and always got all these different songs. So and you don't really put out, you don't really promote albums anymore, as I'm finding out. People put out singles. So so I got some new stuff. I want to go down there and just put that out.
I would like to see him producing more albums with maybe some of these Ameripolitan artists, and him being more in the studio, because he's such an amazing producer and he's got such a great ear that I feel like so many of these young artists would just die to have Dale produce them. That's one of my dreams.
I would like
for him to do that more.
Do more producing and come off the road, not be on the road so much, and just be in the studio.
So what's the ultimate vision that you would just love to see Ameripolitan turn into? I mean, you're talking about an area there where you can help artists come and create music and their albums and potentially help promote them and be discovered, through technology and through tools. But kind of just what's the ultimate vision that you'd see if there was no obstacles or hindrances in the way?
Well, again, we're working on. Through a friend of mine, we're trying to make a Ameripolitan, whether it's a station or if it's just a show on Sirius XM. I think we'd like to have a chart, Ameripolitan chart. Like to have a Ameripolitan radio show, and
I would like to be able to host like songwriters retreats here at our Airbnb, and have artists come here and, come together, write songs, record them downstairs, perform that at Hernandos, and have like a whole like retreat for artists to be able to come here, record, write, and make this like a beautiful creative space, and then those are things that I would like to envision in the future for Ameripolitan.
What's funny is it's what country music used to be, we're just trying to make it country again.
Here's the thing I don't think most people understand or know. What's the life like as an independent artist?
Hard.
Yeah, you've got to go in your own way and you got to do your own thing. So it's you got to wake up and do things. It can't just when you got a record label pushing you and you got everybody doing it for you. All you got to do is wake up and tour. Mm-hmm. But when you're an independent artist,
like Summer Dean, for instance, she books, she writes, she sells her merch. She does everything.
And you got to be that's it. You just got to wake up and get it done. Don't be a crybaby about it. Just move it on. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, we got to get you to Georgia, the oldest train depot is about a 3-minute walk from my house, and it's just the most incredible place. I would love to shoot a video in there for you. Every time I go in there, we go down there, we sneak in that place at night and just watch trains go by, and it's take a
like
beverage of your choice, and it's awesome. But yeah, every time we go in there,
we're a 3-minute walk to the historic train station in Marshall. He jumps on the Amtrak and goes to Austin with his suitcase. He just jumps on the train.
So is it still an operating depot?
Oh no, it's been closed down for years and years and years. But they actually, instead of tearing it down, this is, gosh, I don't even know when it was, maybe in the 40s or something. They actually put it on logs and took mules to roll it on the other side of the street because they were building a big highway through, but they wanted to preserve it. So it's still there, and it still has a lot of historic, signs on the wall and everything like that. It has a big open room too that you can open the doors, and there goes the trains right on by.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty.
So
it's incredible.
Just go by it?
Oh yeah, real close, like real. I'll send you a picture.
Is it Amtrak or is it just regular?
Oh no, it's CSX. It's it goes from Waycross to Manchester. That's kind of the main route there. And a lot of times they have the conductors, or they switch train crews right there. So a lot of times I'll take my golf cart and just sit out there and watch trains. And when they're changing, the guys that come and just sit in the golf cart with me, and we'll talk about trains or whatever. It's fun. I love to hear all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So do we.
We love it. But matter of fact, that's part of the birthplace of Boogie Woogie. Reason it happened in Marshall was because of the train, because of Texas Pacific Rail.
Yeah.
And so we're doing a lot of train songs and
believe it or not, I am located on exit 109.
Are you really?
I promise I am.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
if you get off of I-75 at exit 109, 10 miles west, there you hit it. So kind of crazy.
Reshoot a video for exit 109. Reshoot.
Oh yeah. And there's a pilot on exit 109.
Is it really?
Yeah, you get an exit 109 right off that thing. There's a pilot, so it's like you wrote. I thought you wrote the song when you went through there, but coincidence, I guess.
Actually, and the exit was originally exit 129, but it's hard to sing 29, so I've changed it to 109.
Yeah, no, it's there. It definitely is there.
Know it exists.
That's funny.
Well, man, I certainly appreciate you being on this again. It's great to be able to celebrate, the artists like that and what you're doing, and we're going to do everything we can to help support that because there's so much independent talent that people don't know about, and it's crazy in the day and age that we live in where we're so connected, we're disconnected from what's true talent, and we're still kind of we only get the faucet of what they want us to get. So I think, whatever we can do, whatever can help, like helping with the podcast, of the Ameripolitan artists, whatever like that. I'm totally on board with that because, man, there's some good stuff.
Well, I appreciate it, Michael. Thanks for your help on getting every year. Every year, you always it's been. I couldn't do it without you, and wouldn't want to do it without you, and because you get it, and you got a big heart, and I think you're right. It's we're being force fed stuff, and we're not being given a choice. I said about modern radio, country radio. I said, I'm not against them playing what they're playing, but why don't you include this other stuff too?
Right.
So give people a choice instead of just
people would choose.
Because they would choose. I think Ameripolitan music, the artists are what old country artists used to be.
Oh yeah.
You could hear the Hank Williams in some of these people. You can hear the Loretta Lynn and Sierra Farrell. You can hear the Ernest Tubb and Charlie Crockett. So you can hear the roots connected into it. And I think people will gravitate more toward that than
whatever else
what's out there that's got no roots whatsoever. Got their feet
just
in air.
Pop country, yeah.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I think if they hear the authentic, I think that the manufactured becomes less valuable to them, to be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, pal. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that. And like I said, Dale is doing a great thing helping promote these artists and promote the true talent within country music. And I just appreciate what he's doing. Like I said, I like to celebrate the independent people, the people that are out there working, doing the hard work, and just really lift them up and help them be celebrated. So appreciate you listening to this, and go out there and discover. Go to Ameripolitan.org, go to DaleWatson.com, discover them, and we're going to help get that podcast up for them, and we're going to help them with that discovery tool, because I believe that that's going to be a key to helping people discover music I know you'll love. So until next time, we'll talk to you later. Love y'all.